Hi guys, Chill13 here. I've had a few people ask me to do a tutorial of some sort, or ask me how I use my Copic markers. So I thought that I would give that to you guys. I'm not quite sure about this setup. I have the camera very precariously put up behind me. But anyway, here it goes. This is Rover Finnegan, character of mine, and I'll tell you a little bit more about him as I draw or color. So what I usually start out with when I'm coloring with Copics is I always start with the darkest colors. And here I start out with a V20 Wisteria. It'll be the gray or darker areas of his face where the shadow falls. Like so. Always darkest under his chin. And around the eyes. He has these brows that kind of come out, cast shadows on him. So Rover is a character of mine I've had for several years. He's for any better explanation, he's a space cowboy. He is kind of like a sci-fi pawn shop owner. He has his starship, the Nellie Bell, and he goes to different planets finding things to buy and sell. Sometimes those things are not quite what he expects them to be and get him in trouble. He has a crew that helps him along the way. His best friend Flisper, who is a blue alien, which I'll show you guys at some point in the future. But Rover's story is kind of interesting. He was found when a small escape pod crash landed on an alien planet. And this just floon farmer found him. And here I go for the next darkest color, which I use is barley beige. Anyway, so this farmer found him inside this crashed escape pod, and he was hurt pretty bad. He actually has a scar up here on his forehead. So he lost his arm in the crash, and he got a pretty bad concussion. So when he woke up, 10-year-old boy in a strange place, but he didn't remember anything before that crash, before he woke up in that alien hospital. And the only things that he had with him on that ship were his cowboy hat and this little flash drive, a little information drive full of old westerns. His ears are always super pink. I'll use this 32 peach for his ears. Sometimes a little bit in his nose. Well, so these aliens that found him tried and tried to find what species he was and who he belonged to. But nobody around that area had ever heard of a human before. So this old farmer decides to keep him. And since the only contact Rover has with people is that flash drive of these old westerns, Roy Rogers, Gene Autry, you know, the singing cowboys where the good guy always wins and the bad guy always gets his comeuppance. So he thinks that being a cowboy is what it means to be human. So he strives to be the best human that he possibly can. So he kind of imitates the kind of Texan accents that he hears, and takes on the kind of persona of this Western hero, because he doesn't know any better. He thinks if he's human, that's what he's supposed to be. He's supposed to be the good guy. And when you're the good guy, this is how you behave. And when he grows up, he decides that he is going to go out into space and find humanity. He's going to find humans, people that look like him, which he's never seen before. I went out of the lines a little bit there. Ha! But when he goes, he finds himself an old spaceship that he fixes up and decides that the way he's going to support himself is to be a trader, because this planet that he's been living on for some time is actually a tourist planet. So he's learned to talk to all different kinds of aliens and, you know, to behave differently around each of them, so that they'll like him. So he's a very, very communicable I can't say that word. Friendly guy that he understands different races and different types of people, and he knows how to get along with them. Most of the time he can find a rapport with someone. He's pretty good at that. And that's what makes him a great trader. He can convince people that they need what he has. He's one of those guys that can, what do they say? An old saying goes, can sell a refrigerator to an Eskimo. Well, if he'd ever met an Eskimo or seen a refrigerator, well, he could do that. So I use a lot of colors on the face, and sometimes I'll go back and darken things. The reason I always do the darkest colors first is because when you put the lighter colors on, the darker colors will bleed and make it look really smooth, and that's always how I like my pictures to look. It's really smooth and nice, and that's actually one of the reasons why I started getting into Copics, is because they always had this really great smooth shading look. And before I started using them, I was just using water-based markers, and they always had this overlap. each stroke would overlap the next, and it would leave you with these funky lines all across your paper, and it just kind of, I don't know, it was something that I never liked in my pictures, but I didn't know what to do to change it. And then I discovered Copics, and oh my goodness, it changed my life. They are expensive, which is sad. So I always have to wait. Until there's a sale, or a coupon. Oh man, I love Michael's coupons. I just love them to pieces. So I use actually, here's all of the colors I use for the face. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 5. No, I take that back. 6. Alright, so we're going to start in on his hat. Here, I'm going to add a little bit more, another layer of this purple here. Darken it up a little bit. And then I use this baby skin pink, which it doesn't really look pink to me. It looks more like a tan. So that is what I will use here. And this paper, somebody might ask me what this paper is. It is just plain old computer paper. It's nothing fancy, and I actually like the way it bleeds on here. Sometimes it bleeds a little bit too much, like goes over the lines and stuff, as you saw earlier. But I do like the way it works with the markers. There's actually some official Copic paper that you can get, but I haven't tried it yet. Again, it's kind of expensive, and this worked for me, so that's what I do. And well, I don't use that many colors for his hat. Alright, his hair. Oh, I have had the hardest time finding the right colors for his hair. They always, until I just recently got colors that I'm happy with. He's got this super orangey red hair, kind of this rusty color. He's got some Irish in him. Actually, one of the inspirations for his name was a song. It was a song called The Last of the Irish Rover. And it was about this crazy ship. It was kind of a tall tale story about this ship that was so huge, and it had all of these strange things in the cargo hold, like, oh, they had like 5 million tons of bricks and nanny goat tails and all of this weird stuff. And it's this super peppy, fun song, and it had a big bearing on his story. I thought, yeah, you know what, that would make a great sci-fi story, to have a trader that had all of these super bizarre things, you know, because he goes to different planets value, each species would value a different thing, you know, and so he would have all of these crazy, bizarre things in his cargo hold, you know, and he knows about each one of them, you know, he knows very, very much about each species and what they want and what they like, and we'll pick up things, you know, like he has crates of dirt in his cargo hold, and he has, you know, he has fungus, this box of fungus he can never sell. But anyway, it was the inspiration for his name as well, because the song is the Irish Rover, and it was also the inspiration for the color of his hair. Give him a little bit of Irish in him with this super red, super orange, rusty hair. And Rover, from the song, it just fit him. It fit him well. Because he is a wanderer, he's a traveler, he goes to all these different places. He never stays in one place for very long. And so his hair, super red, but his facial hair is always this dark brown. And I found out that that's a thing. That there are people where their facial hair is a different color than their actual hair. And he doesn't usually have a mustache. This is actually a page. I kind of had this little story in the back of my head that one of the things that he buys is this chemical that's supposed to make your hair grow out more. He's usually clean shaven, but he decides that he's going to try this stuff, and he grows out his facial hair, and then he shaves it in all of these different ways. Like over here, he's got a full beard, and then over on the side, which you probably can't see, he's got this like villain goatee, and then down here he's got this little snooty French tiny pencil mustache. But he's just kind of a playful guy. He plays with whatever he finds in his cargo hold. But in this little story, he used it. Alright, so guys, you might have noticed that this green just kind of appeared out of nowhere while my camera died on me right in the middle of filming, so I'm sorry about that. So anyway, I was talking about this this product that he found that makes his facial hair grow faster, so he can play with it a little bit more. You know, he doesn't have to wait for it to grow out. Well, someone suggested that he doesn't follow the directions, and you know, Rover never follows directions. That's kind of one of his things, is he's not a very cautious person. He always jumps into everything with 2 feet before he even looks, you know. So anyway, it's no different with this hair product. So he uses so much of it so quickly that he ends up growing hair everywhere. It just has this horrible effect on him. And so he ends up looking like a Bigfoot by the end of this story. And not quite knowing what to do about it. But anyway, Hi-Ho Hyperdrive in the first place was just kind of inspired by 2 things that I really like. One is sci-fi stories. Obviously, he's a space trader, you know, and lives in this sci-fi world where, you know, he goes to different planets and meets different species and things, which, you know, I'd always loved that about, like, Star Trek and different things. But the other thing that I love is sitcoms. In particular, old sitcoms, like Andy Griffith Show, Gilligan's Island, and, you know, things like that, where you just had these fun characters that you just love, and every episode they do something fun and crazy, and something that just makes you laugh and makes you happy. You know, nothing really that complicated. Just kind of them doing their thing and having an adventure for a half an hour. I always loved that and thought I would love to see a sci-fi story that was like that. That gave you that fun, warm and fuzzy feeling by the end of it. And that's kind of what I want Hi-Ho Hyperdrive to be, which is Rover's story. Hi-Ho Hyperdrive. He does get into some, a little bit more serious situations on occasion. But most of the time, his stories are just fun and silly and just a good old adventure, His arm here. He lost his arm when he was little, but he's got this really great mechanical, steampunky looking arm in its place. And it's not just functional, it doesn't just have a hand. He has a hand, but he can swap attachments on this thing. It's kind of a a bigger on the inside device. He's got just about everything under the sun in this arm over here. He's got a force field generator and a whisk and anything that he finds that looks useful, he'll stick it in there. Plunger. The only problem with it is that he's got so many different things in this arm. Some of them have defensive capabilities, like he's got this force field bubble gun, which, if somebody's chasing him, he can turn around and shoot them with this thing, and it envelops them in this giant floating force field bubble, so he can get away. But the only problem is he's got so much stuff in there that he doesn't always pull out the right attachment when he wants it. He forgets where they all are inside there. And so that can lead to some pretty awkward situations that he gets himself into. And he's always got this very westerny style. Not entirely everything isn't, all stuff a cowboy would wear, but it's very inspired, of course, because cowboys are his heroes. He wants to be just like them. He's in for quite a surprise if he ever meets any humans, because by this time, obviously, not everybody is going to be a cowboy. He's got green eyes that match this big coat that he always wears. Sleeveless coat. Alright, well, there you go. I think he's pretty much done. Oh, no, wait. One more thing. I always take a colored pencil and give him a little bit of color in his cheeks. it's a little bit softer and easier to control in this part than the markers, because I can just slowly build up the color. The way I want, because it's supposed to be a really subtle effect. She's got a little bit of lip there. Darken that. Alright, well, there he is. Rover Finnegan with his 1800s style mustache. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed that little tutorial demonstration. If you did, please give me a like, and I may do another one sometime. Bye!